Okay, so again, this will be our topic for this week, syntax. And this is our learning outcome. Identify the parts of speech in individual units, phrases, and clauses. So technically, we will be discussing about units of sentences, okay, which are the phrases and clauses. First, we need to know what is syntax first because we will not be able to understand syntax if we do not know its meaning and its scope. So when we talk about syntax, it is the study of the principles and rules for constructing sentences in natural languages. If you remember, the description or definitions of the terms that we had discussed from phonology to morphology to syntax, we are dealing with rules and principles. So basically, this is not just a work of imagination. This is not an instant um, output or instant um, lesson. Okay, this underwent studies. This underwent surveys to come up with principles and rules because dili ta pwede mag-create og rules automatically. Kailangan nato mag-conduct sa og study to prove that the rules will be effective. Okay? So we are dealing with principles and rules. For phonology, principles and rules in delivering sounds. For morphology, the principles and rules in forming words. And this time, we will be dealing with the principles and rules in constructing sentences. Let me recap again. We use the sound to form words because we combine sounds to form words. This time, we will be combining words to form phrases, clauses, and sentences. Okay, what is a phrase? Phrase is under syntax. Phrase is a syntactic unit such as noun phrase, verb phrase, etc., headed by a syntactic category such as a noun, verb, etc. If you have noticed, sige, I would like to ask you, before the word etc., um, if you have noticed, how is etc. used here and how do you use etc.? You try to compare how the word etc. is used in this description, in this slide, and how do you use, you yourself, when you use the word etc., how do you use it in a sentence? Based on experience, when you write the word etc. in your own sentences, how does it differ with the way it is used here in this slide? Try to analyze. Because this is one of the common mistakes of English majors, even English professors. The misuse of the word etc. Yes, good afternoon. Okay. Okay, continuation. Sige, let's just have the one that you said. Unsa to na fruits, apples. Again, I want you to repeat that clear and loud. And please everyone, listen carefully to that phrase. Sige, please go. Katulang siya na phrase. Okay, everyone, what have you noticed? In that construction, how does it differ with this one in the slide? Balik ko na to ha. Plural, latter part of a sentence. What else? Okay, the use of and. I want you to remember that, diba, if you have noticed, whenever we use, you yourselves, whenever you use the word etc., gispell out man na or abbreviation, whatever it is, but whenever you use the word etc., there is and. Okay? But here in this slide, you do not see and. Wala diha. Kaduha na gibalik ang etc. diha. But we do not see the word and. Bisan ka isa. Okay? So that means, dili pasabot nga kaduha siya na mali. Meaning to say, we can have this idea or question, confusion. Hala, wala lagi na and diha. Nag-etc. man siya. Diba pag na etc. kay mag-and man na. And that confusion has to be answered. And the answer is this. The word etc. means and others and the like. That is why when we enumerate, mo tong giingon ni Miss kaganiha that pag mag-enumerate like names of fruits, para dili taas kaayo, just to tell the people that these are the examples of fruits and there are a lot of fruits or examples of fruits pero di na nako i-mention basta kay mao ni sila ang ako lang sang i-mention daghan pa na sila. Instead of mentioning all of those, you just put etc, and the word etc means and others or and the like. Therefore, if we are going to translate, because etc is a borrowed word, okay, dili na siya English word, giborrow lang siya, so accepted siya as an English word, dili siya grammatically wrong. But if we are going to translate the word etc., it will become and the like or and others. So if you are going to rewrite the sentence like this, the examples of fruits are grapes, apples, and the like. So there are two and there because the word etc. means and the like. So therefore, we are violating the rule of redundancy, which is bawal mag-repeat og the same word with the same meaning sa isa ka sentence. Sunod pa jud. So consecutive repetition of the same word with the same meaning in a sentence, that's redundancy. So dili dapat magbutang og and pag maggamit og etc. I want you to always remember that because again the explanation is and nadaan si etc. Nana siya and daan. So we do not have to put and before etc. Just put a comma. For example, the examples of fruits are apples, grapes, comma, etc. Period. Ana lang. Wala na and. Am I clear? Is that clear? Okay. So from now on, 'di ba dili pa mo ana, di na mo maghasol-hasol og sulat-sulat or type-type og and. At least now you know that dapat wala day na siya. Okay. So wala lang. Saibit lang to. Pero dili jud ka to atong topic. Okay. So again, under syntax, balik ta sa to ang topic, we have different phrases. And under phrases, we have verb phrase. And this is one term or three terms under verb phrase. We have transitive verb, ditransitive verb, and intransitive verb. When we say transitive verb, these are the verbs nga naay noun after naay noun nga receiver sa verb. Okay, for example, I love you. I love you. What is the verb in that sentence? Love. Who received the verb love? You. So the you there is the receiver of the verb love. And you, 'di ba pag receiver ang tawag na to ana object. So kung object siya or receiver siya sa action, ang tawag ana transitive ang verb. Katong verb nga love. Nganong transitive? Gipasa man siya na may nidawat sa iyaha. Klaro sa sentence nga naay nidawat sa iyaha. That's transitive. Gipasa, transit, di ba? Nagbiyahe, kumbaga, na ay giadtuan, na ay gipadulngan. Okay? It doesn't matter kung tao, hayop, lugar, building, whatever. Basta kay siya ang giadtuan or receiver sa action. Second type of verb is we have ditransitive verb. Di means two, di ba? Dimeter, two na siya. Okay? So, ditransitive means there are two nouns after the verb. For example, I love you and your mom. Okay? I love you and your mom. So, we have two receivers already of the verb love. We have the you and the mom. You and your mom. Okay? So, two receivers. So, that's under ditransitive. Next, we have intransitive verb. There are sentences nga plain lang. Nagsulti siya na siya subject, na siya verb, pero wala siya object, wala siya receiver sa action. For example, she cried. Nihilak lang siya. Mao lang na. She laughed. Ana lang. Okay? So, that is intransitive. Pasabot, walay gipasahan sa akson, walay nidawat sa akson. Okay, so those are just some of the terms that you need to remember, yes, after the lessons will be discussed. Okay, so here are the categories and phrase structure under syntax. Okay, we have here the question, what is syntax? Again, it is hard to understand syntax structure if we do not know what is the meaning of syntax. Knowing a language includes the ability to construct phrases and sentences out of morphemes and words. Okay, again, when we are going to learn a language or know a language, it includes the ability to construct phrases and sentences out of morphemes and words, meaning to say, we cannot come up with the correct application of language if we are not able to construct phrases and sentences. And that is what we call syntax, the part of grammar that represents a speaker's knowledge of how how syntax are formed and what are their structures. Okay, so muna siya ang syntax. Formation, kung ang morphology is the formation of words, syntax is the formation of phrases and sentences. The study of sentence patterns of language is what we call syntax. Meaning to say, dili di ay ta makabuhat-buhat og sentence basta-basta. There is a pattern to follow in making sentences. Okay, that is why we have the term universal grammar sa theories and acquisitions of language learning. Theories and principles di ay of language learning and acquisition. Naay principle dito, 'di ba? That we have the universal grammar, meaning to say, naaday similarity ang language sa bisan asa nga lugar. Okay? So, for example, sa Bisaya o sa Filipino, sa Japanese, usually sa sentences sa anak, mag-start nag-verb, nikaon na ka. Okay? Nikaon ako. Kung sa English ana, I na ang una, which is subject. Pero sa Bisaya, sa Japanese, una ng verb. Sa Korean po, 'di ba? Pag mag I love you, kay una ang word na salang. So that is love na sa ilaha sa English. So nauna ang verb. Pero ang English, subject first tapos verb. In syntax, structure refers to word order. I want you to remember that. When we talk about syntax, it refers to how the words are arranged to form a phrase or a sentence. The meaning of a sentence depends on the order in which words occur in a sentence. That is why when we are going to transpose phrases in a sentence, mag-usab-usab na iyahang meaning. For example, I sing because I am happy. And the second one, I am happy because I sing. When we look at it, or even when we listen at it, pare-pareho lang man ang construction. Same words, mo lang man. But what is the difference? The positioning of the phrases. And the moment we change the positions of phrases in a sentence, that will also change its meaning. Sa first sentence, I sing because I am happy. Ang reason niya, ang action niya is katong nikanta siya. And the reason is because he or she is happy. But in the second sentence, there is a twist in the meaning. Baliktad na siya. Ang state na is nalipay siya kay nikanta siya. Malahi itong nikanta siya kay nalipay siya, which is ang nikanta is the result of the happiness. Nga ang isa is ang result na is ang happiness na. Okay? Baliktad na siya. So, positioning of phrases is the basis of the meanings in sentences. So, we have to be careful. Syntactic category is a set of words or phrases in a language which share a significant number of common characteristics. So we are going to talk now about the categories of syntax. Okay? The different categories of syntax. Because same with word formation, nga daghan kay tug mga kanang morphological processes, diri we will be identifying the different, kumbaga ba, branches or types under syntax in order for us to come up with correct sentences. First, we have the parts of speech or the lexical categories. Second is the phrase structure, grammars. And third is the sentence, which is the core structure. Mo ni ang pinaka-importante, mo ni ang target jud sa syntax, the sentence. Okay? And pakapinana is ang functional categories. So what are the lexical categories? When we talk about lexical categories, ang mauna siya ang ginatawag og noun, verb, adverb, nganong na preposition? Okay, we have the preposition, we have the adjective, etc. Next, we have the phrasal categories. Under sa noun, we have noun phrase, we have verb phrase, we have adverb phrase for adverb, prepositional, actually, ang adverb phrase is ang ginagamit gyud nga term is adverbial phrase, and then the prepositional phrase and the adjective phrase. We just have to remember na ang noun, kung unsay function sa noun, ani lang siya ka dali sabton. As long as kaila ta unsay noun, makabalo ta unsay noun phrase. If we know what is a verb, we will know what is verb phrase. So on and so forth. How? Ani lang siya ang difference nila. Ang noun nga simple, one word. Ang noun phrase, more than one word. Unsay din ang phrase? We will know. So we have here the phrase structure. Mo ni siya ang process nga agian para maka-form og sentence. If you have remembered, we started with the sounds and then we had the word formation. Sa word formation, ang terms nga gipanggamit nato didto root and stem. Root and stem. And if you have noticed also, sa ato ang ginabuhat nga structuring sa words, ang atong ginagamit trees or branching trees. Ingunana ang basis sa language. Ang model sa language is a tree. Dili makatubo ang kahoy, dili mo dako ang kahoy kung dili nimo bubuan ang gamot. Pag mag-water tag bulak, pag mamisbis tag bulak, dili nato basaon ang dahon. Diba ang atong bisbisan kay ang ugat, ang punuan niya mismo, sa ugat jud mismo kung asa siya nagtubo. Dili ta didto mo sprinkle sa munang mali ang sprinkling sa flowers kay ang dapat ginabubuan nato katong ugat dapit. Okay, dili tong dahon, dili ang ibabaw nga part. Because the nourishment of the leaves and the flowers sa isa ka tanom didto na nagsugod sa ugat. Okay, pasaka ang iyaha, dili pababa. So that is why sa language also, there is a philosophy nga kung unsa ang pag-nurture sa tree, ingon ana pod ang pagtudlo sa tao on how to learn the language. You start at the bottom part, which is the sounds, and then the words, and then phrases, and lastly, sentences. So, munang naatay mga terms diha na verb, noun, preposition, etc. Okay. So, now, siguro naman wala na yung mangutana, anong kahoy man ang atong ginagamit na structure pag mag model ta how language is used or how language or sentences are formed, because there is a similarity in nurturing a man in learning the language and in taking care of plants. Okay, now I want you to take note of these labels when we are going to will be having our activities. We will be using these labels para dili ta magbalik-balik og sulat og tag-as na mga words. So kanilang na mga labels atong panggamiton. So we have S for sentence, etc. Kamo na memorize. Actually, you do not have to memorize that one. Okay. Phrase is very important in a sentence. And just as we cannot understand the syntax if we do not know its meaning, we will also not understand phrases if we do not know what does it mean. What is its scope? Phrase is a sequence of words or group of words arranged in a grammatical construction and functions as a unit in a sentence. Please remember the term words or group of sequence of words or group of words. That is why I said a while ago, dali na kayo sabto ng phrase. Ang noun nga simple, one word. Pag more than one word gani na siya nga nag-function as noun, mo na ginatawag natong phrase. Group of words naman, two or more. Okay? So pag nakakita mo, for example, man lang ang word, wala na ilain, man lang. That is just a noun. Matawag lang na siyang noun phrase kung nanay laing word. For example, the man. The man. Two words ra na, dara ang gidugang. Pero still, noun phrase ang tawagan na niya. Okay? Okay, further. Let's have the first kind of phrase, the noun phrase. Noun phrase refers to a phrase that built upon a noun which functions as the head word of the sentence. So, ang sa noun phrase, ang main subject or ang main meaning sa isa ka phrase, kung noun gani ang iyahang main meaning or main function, noun phrase ang tawagan na niya. Bisan pag nagsugod siya og article. For example, the young man threw the old dog a bone. So we have the young man. Sorry sa labeling, wala na center. The young man and the old dog a bone. So actually, mali na siya, sorry. Actually, tulo na siya dapat kabuok. The young man, the old dog, tapos a bone. Tulo ka phrases na. Dali lang ha, kanina nag-join. Okay, again, 3 phrases na ha. The young man, the old dog, a bone. So, tulo ka buok ang noun phrases diha. Next, the pretty girls whispered softly. So, we have the pretty girls. Actually, dali raman ma-identify ang mga nouns, especially if it is common noun. Because when we use common nouns in a sentence, kung singular na siya, Nagyod na siya, or kung naay description, nagyod na article nga the or a, mga determiners. Next, we have the adjective phrase. Under adjective phrase, when we talk about adjective phrase, it refers to a phrase modifying a noun built upon an adjective functioning as head word of the phrase. So, kanina pod siya, ang main meaning na pod sa sentence is kuan na pod, adjective na pod. When we talk about adjective, it is a word that is describing something, giving descriptions to something, especially nouns, and I mean particularly nouns and pronouns. For example, she seemed kind and sweet. So the phrase kind and sweet described she, which is the subject in the sentence, which is a pronoun. So that is an adjective, and since more than one word man siya, adjective phrase ang tawag nato ana. Second example, you are quicker than I. So we have you as the subject, which is described as quicker than I. So the quicker than I there functioning as adjective phrase. Next, we have the verb phrase. Verb phrase refers to phrases with at least one verb and its dependents. Meaning, pwede one verb, pwede one or more verb, in which the verb functions as the head word of the sentence. Meaning to say, the main meaning of the sentence is verb. First example, he has been singing. So again, pwede one word ang verb, pwede more than one. Has been singing is a verb phrase with three verbs. The has, the been, and the singing. Okay, a verb phrase composed of three verbs. Second example, the child found the puppy. So we have found the puppy. Ang found diha, that is the main verb, and the whole is the verb phrase. Now, I want you also to remember nga, pwede po nato tawagon, actually, kani si the puppy, that is a noun phrase. So, duha siya. The puppy is a noun phrase, tapos nasulod po siya sa verb phrase. So, kung atuan ang i-label, kung moingon ang teacher nga, identify the phrases, ang atong buhaton, linyahan nato na, pero butangan natong bracket ang the puppy para labelan po nato sa og noun phrase. At the same time, part po siya sa verb phrase. Okay, next we have adverbial phrase. These are phrases which often tell when, where, why, or how an event occurred in which adverb is the head word. For example, we are expecting him to come next year. Kanilang inyong timan-an sa difference sa adverb o adjective. Pag ang word gani mag-describe siya og noun or pronoun, adjective na siya. If ang word is mag-describe siya sa action, kung aha padulong, giunsa pagbuhat, unsay rason, unsang orasa kana siya, referring to the action, or unsa siya ka referring to the adjective, kantahay beautiful, unsa siya kagwapa, kanang ingunana. So those are adverbs na. For example, we are expecting him to come next year. So that answers the question when. So that is under adverbial phrase. He ran very quickly. That answers the question how. Giunsa niya pagdagan. So that is an adverb phrase. Am I too fast? Nasabtan ba to? Or naay question so far? Hello! Okay pa. So, niya na, dili na. Okay, let's proceed. We have the prepositional phrases. These phrases begin with a preposition which functions as the head word of the phrase. Meaning to say, pag moingon tag prepositional phrase, always yun na siya mag-start og preposition. Always. For example, he arrived by plane. Kanang by plane diha, that is a prepositional phrase. At the same time, arrived by plane is a verb phrase. Timanan lang ninyo, gikan sa verb padung sa tumoy. nga apil pa sa verb phrase na siya. Unless na ay coordinating conjunction. For as long as walay nag-separate nga coordinating conjunction, verb phrase na siya hantod sa tumoy. Okay? So, biplane is the prepositional phrase. Arrived by plane is a verb phrase. Next, do you know that man with the scar? With the scar is a prepositional phrase because it starts with the preposition with. At the same time, later on, unya na lang, after aning slide, napa na siya kind of prepositions. Okay? Basta you have to remember lang that when we talk about prepositional phrases, these are phrases that start with prepositions. Ang importante, kaila mo unsay noun, unsay verb, unsay adjective, unsay preposition. Okay? Ang prepositions are words that determines time, when, or where, how, kana sila. Okay, as I have said a while ago, naatay type of prepositional phrases. There are two. First one is the adverb prepositional phrase. The second one is adjective prepositional phrase. Dali ra niyo sa sabton actually. Ani lang siya. Pag makakita ta, always yun na siya. Pag makakita tag prepositional phrase, either mag-function siya as adverb prepositional phrase or adjective prepositional phrase. Either of the two. Pero pag moingon tag adverb phrase rin yun na siya. Okay? Meaning to say, walay preposition, anak niya. Pag nanagani preposition, adverb prepositional phrase lang na siya. I-compare na to ha sa adverb para di mo maglibog. Ang adverb ang adverb phrase, inguna na lang siya kadali. Wala preposition nga nagsagol. Very quickly, next year, kana siya. Ang adjective phrase, wala po preposition nga nagsagol. Pero pag automatic prepositional phrase na gani ang imong makitaan, pag makakita na gani kag preposition nga word, ang nagsunod ana, prepositional phrase na ang tawag ana niya as a whole. Either ang function niya is adverb prepositional phrase or adjective prepositional phrase. Pag moingon tag either, di ba pasabot sa either, naara sa duha. Isa lang pod sa ila, dili pasabot nga either pareho. Pwede, depende ra kung nag-function ba siya as adjective or adverb. Pero dili pareho. Dili duha. Dili siya pwede nga both adjective and adverb. For example, he arrived by plane. He arrived by plane. We have by plane. Nakakita man ta og by sa sentence, automatic ang nagsunod ana niya part na sa prepositional phrase kay preposition man si by. Okay? Now, ang question is, pangutano na to atong sarili, what is the function of this prepositional phrase in the sentence? Unsa iyang gibuhat? Unsa iyang epekto? Unsa iyang function? Unsa iyang trabaho? Ang gibuhat ni by plane dere, gimodify niya in what way ang action gibuhat. Okay, how the action is done. So, 'di ba pag ang i-describe sa word or phrase kay action, that is under adverb. So, since action man niyang gi-modify, ang tawag niya is adverb prepositional phrase. Second example, example under adjective prepositional phrase. Do you know that man with a scar? Kani siya, the preposition the prepositional phrase with the scar is defining or describing the man. The question is, kinsa man ang ginamodify or unsa man ang ginamodify sa with the scar? Ang answer nato, ang man. So since nagmodify man siya man, which is a noun, and as we all know, ang adjective, ang words nga nagamodify og nouns and pronouns, ang tawagan na adjective. Therefore, with the scar, which is describing the man, which is a noun, is an adjective prepositional phrase. So, ana lang siya kadali. Ang adverb phrase, walay preposition. Ang adjective phrase, wala siya preposition. Si adverb prepositional phrase siya nga nag-function as adverb. Si adjective prepositional phrase pud siya nga nag-function as adjective. So pag mag-answer mo, kung mangayo ko labels sa mga phrases, either ADVPP or EDGJPP. Walay PP lang. Okay, i-modify ninyo unsa siyang klase nga prepositional phrase, adverb ba siya or adjective. Further pa jud, unsaon pag yun nato pag differentiate ang adjective and adverb prepositional phrase. When we say adjective prepositional phrase, it always come after words they modify. Always. Ang adverb prepositional phrase, pwede siya nga after, pwede po siya sa sugod sa sentence. Okay? So, kaning mga adjective phrases, dili sila pwede mo sugod sa sentence. Pero kaning mga adverb prepositional phrase, pwede siya start a sentence. So, pag ang sentence mag-start og preposition, automatic kana siya is an adverb. For example, for many years now, that is already a prepositional phrase. Okay? The described word, nganong the described a noun? Mali man eh. The described word in adjective prepositional phrase is a noun or pronoun. For example, the man with the hoe. Ang with the hoe, nag-describe siya sa man, kinsa man nga lalaki. Katong lalaki nga naay hoe. The girl in the mirror. Kinsa nga babae. Itong babae nga naa sa salamin. Okay? So, description siya sa noun. Next is under sa adverb prepositional phrase. It answers the questions where, when, why, how, to what extent. For example, after fixing her hair, so after is a preposition, that is adverb prepositional phrase. Inside the box. Pero kana sila nga mga sentences, kailangan i-check nato unsa man nga word ang gimodify. Kay kung moingon siya, that girl inside the box, that will be functioning as adjective prepositional phrase. Kailangan lang gid nato tan-awon unsa ang ginamodify sa prepositional phrase. Action word or noun. Kung action word, that is adverb prepositional phrase. Kung noun, adjective. Questions. For now, questions. Klaro ba? Gamay rang nagatingog ang uban, basi naglibog, pwede mangutana. Char, wala naglibog. Nara na sa hawd ko motudlo or bright akong estudyante. Pwede pod both. Okay. Or, wala kasabot, pero wala po'y pakialam. Okay, let's have this. How to discover the atoms of syntax. Pag boingon tag-atom, unsa nang atom? Answer daw. Kinsa may mga major in science diri. What is an atom? Uy, nag-major in science. Jud na siya ba? Kung wala na ay major in sa mag-open na mi next year, pwede na ka mag-shift. Balik ka first year. Okay, so atom is the smallest part of matter or element of matter, smallest particle, pinakagamay. Nga kung wala na siya, dili ma-form to nga matter. Okay, or nga object. Kay sa science, kay ang object nila kay matter man. Okay, so here, in language also, before we are going to identify the phrases, tanawon sa nato kung kabalo bata mo identify sa atoms. Unsa ang atoms nga ginapasabot dere? Katong smallest parts sa phrases, which are the words. Okay? Sa man ang smallest sa part sa phrases, ang words. So we have to identify what are the classifications of, or what are the categories of the words, each words. So first, we need to identify the nouns. So how are we going to identify nouns? First nga consideration is morphological criteria. Ang mga nouns, kung common ha, pwede siya i-pluralize. For example, angel, angels, strength, strengths. Pero kung dili noun, dili na siya ma-pluralize. Mailhan na siya kay pag i-type nimo siya sa computer, mupula na siya. So that is wrong or misspelled. So dili siya pwede ma-plural. Pasabot dili siya noun. For example, tolls or sums. But we have to be careful kay na mga words nga nouns pero walay plural form, especially abstract words. Ang mga abstract words, usually ha, not all, but usually pag abstract words, wala siya plural form. For example, ang kaning strength, that is abstract, pero naa siya plural. Pero ang love, walay plural ang love. Ang freedom, walay freedom ang love. Ay, walay freedom. Walay plural ang freedom. Freedom lang yun na siya, dili freedoms. Pero ang right, that is abstract, pwede siya i-rights. So we have to be careful lang pod kay sa abstract, again, pwede siya plural, pwede siya singular. Another one, collective noun, dili pod siya pwede. For example, bundle of flowers. Bundle, dili pwede, pwede man ta mag-bundles. Pwede man. Collection, collections, pwede ra, okay ra, wala problema ang collective noun. Pero ang problema, katong uncountable nouns, kay ang air, di man na airs. Nga basig mo ingon mo, dili ni noun si air, kay wala man say plural form. Na mga nouns, nga dili mabutang ag s, like, especially, some of the abstract nouns, kanang nouns nga di makita, o kanang mga non or uncountable nouns. Sugar, wag yun, kadungog ba mog sugars, nakadungog ba mog mantika, ang English kung daghan kay oils, sana oils. Unya, makadungog ba mog kanang salts, waters, diba? Sands. Dili siya pwede because dili man nato na gina-count individually. Mas man siya. So diha na mo gawas ng kilo, ana-ana. Didto na ta mag-plural sa kilos. So we have to be careful lang pod kasi gamito ninyo na ba, ma'am, nganong yung maning gimalian ma'am nga tama man ko, di man na noun ma'am kay di man na pwede butang ag s. So again, in every rule, take note, in every rule, there will always be an exemption. Dili pwedeng wala. Okay. Next, isa pud sa basis in identifying nouns kung dili gani siya mo appeal atong dili siya under atong kanang morphological criteria, di siya pwede butang ag s, napatay laing basihan. Ang another basihan nato, nouns can fit between a determiner and a verb. Determiner in other terms kay article. Appeal na lang this, that, those, appeal na siya. Articles the, a, and an. Mga singular na sila nga determiners. Okay. Ang nouns daw, pwede siya unhan og or gamitan og determiners. For example, the blank is great. Pwede ta mo ingon og the love is great. Pasabot kay dili man siya mali. Nagpasabot lang na siya nga ang love is noun. Gigamitan man nato siya the nga determiner. Unya wa man siya na mali. So noun siya. Next, ang it nga word. The it is great. Kamo mismo, mura mo buang nagsulti ato. The it is great. Kantahay kanang nagkaon ba? Ang imong gusto isulti kay lami kay mong kaon. Ang imong gisulti kay pag English nimo, the it is great. Mo nang importante kay makabalo tag English. Kay himong tag laughing stock katawanan sa mga tao just because na mali ta gamit sa word. Okay? So, ana na siya. Since di man ta pwede mong the it is great, that is now not a noun. By the way, isingit lang po nako, same sa kung gibuhat kaganiha, ang the na siya duha ka pronunciation. The and the. Kinsay maka-explain when to use the and when to use the. Same with a and a. Sige, please proceed. Okay, remember ninyo na tanan ha. I know na apay wala nakabalo diha. Ang the, i-pronounce siya as the if the word after it starts with a consonant letter. For example, boy. Naay the before ang boy. Unya ang boy kay nag-start man siyang B, which is a consonant, the ang pronunciation. Pero kung apple ang sunod ni the, ang A sa apple, that is a vowel, ang pagbasa nato karon sa the is the. Take note, ang basehan nato dili ang letter, ang sound, kung vowel sound or consonant sound. Okay? Nana lang siya. So, kung naay mga words nga nag-start og consonant letter pero wala na may mga words 'di ba nga silent lang ang iyang first letter. So sa sound, sa first sound na magbase. Okay, kung consonant or vowel. How about a and an? When to use a and an? Anyone? Sige, go ahead. Ha? Nangutana gani ko no. Sige na, go. Okay, ana ra pud siya ha. Remember na to na permi ha. An if consonant, a and a kung or a kung um, mali. An kung vowel, a kung consonant. So a boy, an apple, ingana siya ha. Tapos ang pag-deliver sa a na may uban a boy. 'Di ba? Na may ngunana. Depende na na sa ato. Dili na na siya ingon nga kailangan i-a or i-a jud nato. Okay, so ato lang siya. Next, let's have another basis pa jud in identifying nouns. Meaning-based criteria. So we have to remember lang, grade 1 pataani, gi-memorize na nato ni, 'di ba? Dili day. Nana ba ni grade 1? Grade 3 yata. Murag. Grade 3 pa lang or grade 2. Gina-memorize na nato ni what is noun? A noun is a name of a person ating hantod nag high school. Hangtod college. Balik-balik ra pero malimtan gihapon. Ang preposition tawagon gihapon verb. Okay. So a noun is the name of a person, place, animal, thing, whatever it is. Basta kay under ani nga mga words, person, place, animal, thing, event or idea. Automatic nouns na sila. For example, teacher, Jera, city, Davao, dog, doggy. Proper man siya or common, basta kay nag-describe or name siya sa something that is a noun. Okay? Next, question sa recognizing nouns. Okay ra? Proceed na ta? Hello? Pwede mo yes. Okay. Okay, so next, second one, we have to know also what is verb. So, isa po sa basis is ma-identify na to ang verb based on morphological criteria. Verbs can occur with the past tense suffix ed or ed or d. Padara, kay kung nag-ed, nag-idaan, di na lang atong idugang para way kapoy. Okay, for example, demonstrate, pwede siya demonstrated. Sigh, pwede siya sighed. Tol, lang ano yung nanin mo ng spelling ani pagkabugo sa maestra. Tol, told, dili pwede. Idi na ha, pasaylo I-edit lang na ko na, sorry. Some, summed, dili po siya pwede. That means, pag dili siya pwede dugangan og idi ug di, automatic, dili siya verbs. Pero, again, in every rule, there is an exemption. Dili pa sabot nga kay dili sa madugangan og di or ed, moingon na dayon ta diretso nga dili gid na sa verb. There are verbs, 'di ba kabalo na discuss na nato didto sa verb form ay sa word formation. Naay mga verbs nga gipang-ilisan lang ang mga vowel sounds pero wala gidugangan og ed or d. Lahi ang word formation nila. Unsa pa may basis nga pwede nato gamiton to recognize verbs. Second is the distributional evidence. For example, under this is verbs can form a sentence, with the preceding noun. Pwede siya magsunod sa noun. Pag ang verb dili pwede mo ay pag ang word gisunod sa noun nya lain paminawon, that is not a verb. For example, you demonstrate or you demonstrated. Pwede man siya, verb to siya. Pero pag you tall, moingon lang kag you tall, you pretty. Mura kag na, mura kag Chinese or Indian. Oh, you pretty. Oh, young girl. Ana-ana lang ka diretso. So that is not correct. Pasabot, katong tall o katong pretty, dili to sa verbs. In English, only verbs, take note ha, in English rapod, only verbs come after a noun to form a sentence. So makasabot na ta, pag human sa noun, verb na siya. Kay after man sa noun. Okay, nganong nouns, pasailuan na pod ko. Ginaduplicate ra magud akong format. Sige lang, di bitaw bawasan akong sweldoan ni. Identifying nouns. Pero mali. Dapat identifying verbs. So here are some categories of verbs. Katong gi-mention ako kaganiha, ditransitive, transitive, and intransitive. For example, Alice gave Mary the book. Ang Mary diha, that is the direct object. I hope you are familiar with that sentence pattern. Ay, second sem pa day na. Mary is the direct object. Pasabot sa iyahan ni diretso ang aksyon. The book. Ang book is the indirect object. Next is transitive. Alice admires courage. So, wala lay tuldok. Mali na siya kay wala tuldok. It's not a sentence kay wala tuldok. Imagination ay tuldok diha. So, Alice admires courage. So, we have Alice as the subject, admires as the verb. Courage is the receiver of admiration. Intransitive, Alice cries, wala na nag-follow, wala receiver. So, intransitive, wala gipasa ang verb. Questions? Wala gihapon? Wala, ma'am. Sige, let's proceed. Adjectives and adverbs. So, when we talk about adjectives and adverbs, dali lang siya. Si adjectives, ang pattern niya is determiner. Kung na ay determiner, pwede pod wala. But it is written before the noun. Dito pwede maingog man happy, girl beautiful, dili. Mag-una gyud ang adjective. Beautiful girl, una gyud na siya before sa noun. Baliktad na sila sa verb. Ang verb after sa noun, ang adjective before sa noun. Ang adverbs naman, lahi pod siya. It comes after the verb or pwede pod siya after sa adjective. Pero sa kani, phrases man ta after sa verb. For example, the man ran quickly. So, ang quickly, nag-modify siya sa action, that is under adverb. And in English, it is also often used nga mga adverb kay nagtapos og ly. So, dili kita maglibog. Pero not at all times. Dili sa tanan panahon. Okay. Katong prepositions, determiners mo, itong niingon ko kaganiha, kato ganing nagbasa ko sa lexical categories. Nganong na preposition, katong ni anak ko, okay? Under sa lexical, verb lang, verb, adjective, noun, adverb. Kanang upat, conjunction, ay dili day. O, katura sila upat. Ang under sa functional, determiner, conjunction, ag preposition. At wala na siyang i-further discuss next sem. Okay, so muna siya ha, ang ato ang i-remember. So, example sa determiners and kanan sila. Conjunctions, that, because, or, for, tong fanboys, preposition, on, in, over. So, ana lang siya. Under, about, kanan sila. Inside, in. Okay, that ends our discussion. Questions, clarifications. Violent reaction. Signay may bugo no. Violent gyud ay kusog man kayo. By the way, kanaganing answering og non, non, not yet, ug no, kanang tulo ka buok. Tung nagtudlo manggod ko high school, introduce na ko naguna pag magklase ko. Kay 'di ba pag magklase ta sa high school, ambot nakademo na ba mo na may student teacher ang high school before pag teachers month kay magkuan man na magtudlo-tudlo man ang estudyante para mahaya-haya maestra. Pag human sa klase, if you have noticed, mo ingon jud ang maestra nga ay pag umag lesson, may nag, did you understand class? Do you understand? Is there any question? Kana, kuha naman na siya, cliche naman kay na. Tana naman mo gamit ana. Ang tubag sa estudyante, no ma'am. Ang uban, none ma'am. Ang uban, not yet. Unsa man jud tama na answer? We will say none kung wala ang atong gipasabot, wala as in kanang walay lista. Walay nakalista. No kung ang pasabot nato dili. Not yet kung wala pa. Naay, for example, naay gipahuman, are you done? Wala pa, so not yet. Naay question, wala. Wala may pa dito, wala. So none lang atong answer. So please be particular ana ha kanang tulo ka buo kay as major in English. Yes, okay lang man na magkamali-mali ang grammar, dili man big deal because we are not born to be perfect in language, but as English major, at least we have the knowledge when to use words kay we will be modeling our students man. So whatever mistake nga ma-deliver na to sa klase, our students will imitate that. They will bring that until they die. Muna hinungdan nga na ay mga professors nga dili ka naa pay mga mistake sa mga kuan. Even ako, nobody is perfect. Pero unsay reason